Hi everyone, can everyone hear me? I am logging on to Golden Bear Therapy Partners live Instagram feed. Just waiting for our followers and Ben Turner to join so we can go ahead and get started and discuss our amazing mentorship program. I see Brad's joined. I see T. Bennett's joined and Brink_Brad has joined. I am happy to have you guys join us. Tony, I see you've joined as well. Yasmin has joined. Wow, you guys are quick and efficient. I'm liking this prompt joining that's taking place. Let me go ahead and try to see if I can invite Ben in. Hey Ben, how are you?
Hey Kiran, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Tony.
Very good.
So I already see a few of our amazing team members have joined. I see Nick's joined. I've said hi to a bunch, Tony. A lot of people are already joining us live as we kind of get this party started. And, we appreciate you guys joining us today, this evening. For those of you that aren't familiar, Ben and I are kind of going to have a little bit of a conversation about our mentorship program, which Ben is the specialist on. So Ben, just, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me about mentorship for everyone to kind of learn what we offer here. So if I was going to ask you in a nutshell, what is mentorship?
Well, but before we dig into that too much,
Yeah,
I'll talk about my background a little bit and just kind of
sure.
who I am and how I got involved in all this stuff. My name is Ben Turner. I'm the clinical director at OPTM Physical Therapy in Saratoga, California, and we partnered with Golden Bear. Oh gosh, almost 2 years ago now, and I had kind of been running the intern program for our clinic, and it was pretty small. We were having a couple interns per year, and joining Golden Bear kind of gave me the opportunity to expand on what I like to do. And so one of the things that we did was we really grew our intern program, and I've had the opportunity to partner with 10 clinics now in the Bay Area and create that. And I run as the SCCE in the region, the intern program. And I also got the opportunity to kind of expand on something that I felt was really important, which was mentorship. And I had always been interested in creating something for our clinic that was going to be a little bit more specific than just come and work with us and figure it out. And I had experiences myself that I'm happy to talk about, and I think we'll go through more, that led me to kind of understand the importance of mentorship. And so I was able to start a program here at Golden Bear Therapy Partners that is specific to newer clinicians to help them transition from the world of academia or early experience of being a clinician and feel supported and become a better clinician. So that's kind of who I am, where I've come from, and kind of a little bit more about the basic path. I've been a clinician for over 10 years now, and I love treating patients, but I'm also really passionate about kind of teaching others and guiding others, learning from others, and really helping each clinician kind of reach their full potential, I guess.
I love that. And I think you kind of just hit it all in a nutshell of why mentorship is so important, and kind of share with me, I know in your experience, you've seen, various different practices. What was lacking in the physical therapy realm in terms of mentorship that you saw was a need that needed to be filled, and you started to create this?
I think one of the considerations for me always was kind of based on my own experience. When I got out of school, I didn't really know kind of exactly what I was doing. I knew because I went to school and I learned a bunch of stuff, but taking it from working on my healthy classmates and getting a little bit of experience as a student, and then taking it into me kind of being alone and not really having a support from a clinical instructor, and just kind of trying to figure it out. it wasn't super easy, and there were a lot of times where I didn't know what to do, and I didn't really know who to turn to. And I know, probably for me, maybe a character flaw is I don't really like asking for help. And so there wasn't anything that was kind of set up to encourage me to ask for help. There wasn't really anything that gave me the kind of made the path easy to find help. And so I kind of just muddled through, and I learned a lot by doing that, but it took a really long time, and I've been lucky to have and connect with a lot of people that helped me along the way. And that kind of happened organically over time, but it was never really anything that was on purpose. And
Yeah.
and one of the things that I've learned in my life and through the last 10 plus years of clinical practice is I always want to wake up with purpose, and I want to act on purpose. And I think that's a really important concept to start with in a clinical career.
I love that. And I think one of the big pieces that you also kind of touched on for anyone that's just joining us is you kind of stumbled upon knowledge as you weaved your way through your professional career. So would you say that the importance of mentorship right when you graduate and join, the profession is something that you think all PTs should take on?
I mean, just by looking at the statistics, the studies show in general that people who have a mentor are happier with in what they do. And I think it comes from being more successful, not struggling as much, having better outcomes. Like I said, I have anxiety dreams about certain patients or situations and things like that. When I was a neuro clinician, and it was I loved what I was doing, but there were so many times where I just kind of just went by the seat of my pants in a lot of ways. And so I think that in general, having a mentor is really good in whatever you do. And I think it's even more important in the realm of physical therapy, in the realm of clinical practice, just because of how nuanced things are, because of how many things that you have to do that you don't learn about in school, from clinical things to non-clinical things. I one of the things that I learned was how to manage finances, and that was something that I had never really learned the details of that before. I'd always learned, hey, save your money, it's a good thing. But beyond that, I didn't know what to do, and I'd never made any money before. I always worked, crappy summer jobs and stuff like that. But I never actually was a professional in anything. I never, made enough to do anything with. And so, I learned, hey, this is what responsible money management looks like, and that's something I wish I had known right away. What do I do with this? How do I start saving? How do I start investing? How do I start putting the money I'm making to work for me? So I think that's a huge deal. So there's all sorts of stuff that I feel like people need to know, and you just don't get that stuff in school. And I'd always been interested in helping people to find the solutions to problems that they haven't encountered yet. And that's one of the things that we do well, I think, is kind of cover situations that, like, hey, maybe this hasn't occurred for you, but it's gonna happen. And
It
it's a whole
happens.
lot better to have something in place and kind of have some ideas and strategies already, so when whatever that thing is that happens, you're ready, instead of kind of just deer in the headlights and like, uh-oh, now it's pretty obvious that I don't have the experience maybe that I should. I know one of the things that we talked about as a group last month was what to do with people who don't want to be discharged. You get into a situation with a patient that needs to be discharged for one reason or another, and they don't want that. What do you do? And that was something I struggled with a lot earlier in my career. I didn't know. I just kind of tried to figure it out, and I ended up probably in some situations that I could have avoided in the first place if I had known kind of how to set expectations, if I had known how to kind of approach it correctly, if I'd known about the right things to talk about, and I didn't. And so I kind of just had to learn it and kind of learn the hard way. And that's, in some ways can be good, but it's also good to be prepared and have some guidance and support too.
I love that you kind of mentioned a few things that I love, where you kind of talked about the importance of you don't know what you don't know, and taking the piece that's non clinical. Because you already know, as the director of talent, I'm having conversations with students every day about what they're hoping to accomplish. And other than a paycheck, I know that the biggest thing that a new student is looking for is that mentorship. Can you talk a little bit about that piece of the non-clinical skills that we focus on in mentorship, which I think is probably the silent victim of the career pitfalls that we see, where new grad students will take a position that they're not 100% prepared for, and there's no one there to mentor them on the financial side of this might be their first career, and understanding what to do with that paycheck and how to set up their 401k and plan for retirement, how to live comfortably with that paycheck. And so you kind of touched on this, but I'd love for you to shed some light for our followers on that.
I mean, it's a big topic, and I don't want to say that I'm an expert on these things, but guiding principles I think are good with some of that stuff. And so if you can have someone, especially someone who's like a in a similar situation, a fellow professional, maybe with similar professional and personal goals, guidance on that kind of stuff is so important. And we know that earlier is better. And you can see that in any instance. If you look at the economy these days, the sooner you sock stuff away, the better. And I'm sure everyone's seen the example of investor A that started saving a small amount when they were 20, and then investor B that starts saving like a double amount when they're 40. And investor B doesn't come anywhere near where investor A does, and the only thing they did different was just start early. And that's the kind of interesting component about some of that stuff, and why I think it's important early to kind of understand and know what to do and when.
And I love what other, non-clinical skills do we focus on in our mentorship program other than, just the piece of, let's discuss outcomes, let's discuss treatment plans, which we already know mentors are going to touch and help you problem solve. What are they
Mm-hmm.
outside of that?
We just discuss professional communication. How do you communicate with people throughout the care team, whether it's an aide, whether it's a fellow a colleague, whether it's an MD. How do you facilitate conversation that's going to be effective and efficient? I think that's a big one that we talk about. Um, oh boy, I think that and the finances are some of the stuff that really are kind of like a little bit more non-clinical that we cover. But there are some things that are maybe not just um, like like how do you do an exam? Like we cover some of that stuff, but we also talk about dealing with difficult patients. We talk about caseloads and how do you create a caseload that you want to create, and with some of our lunch with leaders discussions that we do those once a month. We've talked about all sorts of stuff. One of the lunch with leaders that I did was talking about setting and achieving goals. How do you figure out how to connect yourself with achievement? We've talked about how to manage your Con Ed budget. What do you do, and what courses should you take? And we've talked about being a clinical instructor. How do you become a good clinical instructor, and how do you take advantage of that relationship? So there's kind of a wide spectrum of stuff.
I love that. And I'm going to answer your question real quick, Paul. I believe that Nick's mentor was Brandon Nan. And definitely, guys, at the bottom, feel free to shoot questions you have about mentorship and our program at the same time. Definitely not a one-sided conversation between me and my good friend here, Ben. Definitely just shoot those messages at the bottom, and we'll be happy to answer those questions too. Um, but Ben, I love the fact that you mentioned the fact that we have the lunch and learns.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if I'm a PT and I live in, Washington, and there's somebody that specializes in a field? Let's pretend I'm a pelvic floor therapist in Washington, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to learn from Jen Allen in Body Central,
Yeah.
or Marissa Buss, who's a fantastic women's health, professional in Body Central as well. How could I go about bridging those lines or the distance to get that mentorship opportunity, even though I'm not there?
So that's intrinsic to our program. Basically, what we've done is we've created a network all across our entire company, spanning from the north all the way down into Arizona and Texas, and we encourage people to look at mentor opportunities that are not in their clinic, and maybe not even in their region, because it helps to put people in a position where maybe they learn something different. The person that they're working with obviously is a veteran and it's an expert in their field, but maybe it's also someone who does things a little bit differently. One of the things that we talk about is this mentorship program is in no way meant to take the place of boots on the ground in clinic onboarding, training, mentorship. It's really more of kind of an extra component that we offer, and it allows you to, I think, widen your scope. It allows you to see more about, what else is out there. Maybe situations that you're not comfortable discussing with someone next to you for whatever reason. And you've got someone who's really kind of an impartial, unbiased supporter of your journey. So I really encourage people from Spokane to connect with someone in Texas, because, hey, you may learn something about someone else. You may learn something about yourself.
I love that. And just to answer a quick question for Gloria Garvin, she was asking if we have any volunteer hours coming up in the summer. We do. It just depends on what you're looking to volunteer for. Definitely feel free to connect with the talent acquisition team. You can even just shoot a message in this link and I will have someone from my team reach out to you. But yeah, back to the mentorship piece. I think that's amazing, Ben, the fact that you guys built the program to keep in mind the fact that you can get amazing opportunities to connect across all platforms. Would you say the fact that we have multiple brands now, we're across how many states now? We're in California, Washington, Arizona, Oregon, Texas, Utah, Nevada. Wow, that's a lot. Do you think that that's, kind of the future of what mentorship needs to be to continue to thrive and grow in this field?
I do. I really think that we need to connect better as a profession. And it's kind of easy to just get in your little bubble and just kind of keep doing the same things that you always do, and the things that make you feel safe. But I think there's a lot of opportunity out there for people who want it. And I think one of the things about mentorship is you get out what you put in. And you know what? We've had the opportunity to connect people who are interested in hand therapy with people who specialize in hand therapy, and even think people like OTs, that have some specific strategies and maybe some training that we have not. And so I think the cool part of that is just really opens up your potential pool of people that you can learn from, and maybe people with varied experiences, and people with kind of learning opportunities that you haven't necessarily stumbled across in just your day-to-day clinical opportunities. So I think it's an awesome idea. I think the more we can create connectedness throughout our profession, whether you live in California or whether you live in Texas or Washington or wherever, I think that is great. And just as a little bit of a kind of a side note, we are starting a vestibular program, and we've connected with an excellent therapist, Mark Broberg, down in Ventura, and there would be no way that would be happening if I didn't kind of connect with him a little bit through this program and learn kind of how he went through and created this program, and then how he's going to help us to create the program, and how we can share this with our whole company. And so for me, I always think that more contributors are better. And when you get a lot of really smart people together, good things happen.
And I love that you kind of touched it. I don't know if a lot of the followers caught it, but I love the fact that you said the collaboration is, the key. And I think that kind of sums up what Therapy Partners is all about, is connecting. Every PT is talented in their own right. Even the new grad who's never had an opportunity to work in, a setting has something valuable to offer. And the mentorship program is designed to help you each kind of thrive and find your value and figure out how you can add to it. So kind of, Ben, I know we've talked about it and alluded to it. Share with me, what would be the steps if somebody wanted to join the mentorship program? What are the criteria to get in?
Super simple. We basically have two different types of things. One, we have the mentor side. So anyone who's 3 years into clinical practice who feels like they're interested in kind of guiding and helping another practitioner, we're taking those people. And then, on the other side, the mentee side, anyone within like the first 2 or 3 years of their practice that is interested, those people are eligible. So beyond that, there really aren't really any requirements in any way other than being interested in learning and engaging, and getting better at your craft.
I love that. And Rahul asked a great question. He asked, how is it structured and how long is the program? So if I joined it today, what
Hmm.
would the structure look like for me as a new mentee, and how
Hmm.
long would the program last?
It's a good question. So the first thing we do is we connect you with the database of mentors that we have, and kind of find out who you want to work with, and from there you would spend 12 weeks working with your mentor, one on one. Obviously, this person is probably not working next to you. You should have that mentorship kind of occurring in your clinic. So it would be a phone call or a Teams call, something like that. We do it at least once a week for about 30 minutes or so. It's part of your normal schedule, so you don't have to take extra time out of your schedule. You don't have to do it on an evening. We block this on your treatment schedule on purpose. And so you get 12 weeks to connect with that person, and then after that you get an opportunity to do another 12 weeks with another mentor. And so I think that's total 24 weeks working with two different people, and it kind of creates that connection, that relationship that allows you to, I think, become a better clinician over that time. And then we also have our kind of recorded mentorship modules. We have those hosted online. There's a total of 9 right now, covering everything from how to create and how to build your exam. So subjective exam, objective exam, how to make them efficient, how to make them really effective at getting the information that you need. One of the things that I always say is we are expert information obtainers. Patients are not expert information givers. And so, we can really save a lot of time, and we can really help people get better faster if we have systems involved, and we kind of put our our brain power into making sure that we get the information we want in a timely manner. And so there's some of that stuff. We also talk about the difference between assessment, analysis. How do we create prognoses? How do we create diagnoses, physical therapy diagnoses that are going to allow us to be able to make decisions to intervene? Because really, what our patients are coming to us for is to help guide them to solve their problems. And so if we can figure some of that stuff out in a way that's specific, in a way that's timely, we kind of, I'd say, we deliver on our goal of helping people get better faster. So we have that stuff. More modules are dealing with difficult patients, professional communication. There's a couple different ones on finances, how to create a budget, what do you do in terms of saving for retirement. So there's all of those, and then you'll get those in a bundle. Each one is somewhere between 30 minutes. There's in an hour or so. And then you'll also get access to our lunch with leaders, which is really a kind of a cool one. I think all of this is pretty unique, but the really unique part about the lunch with leaders is you're getting access to leaders throughout our company, and they're just talking about something that they're interested in. So there's been a couple clinical ones. I know Zane up in the Pacific Northwest, he did one on strength and conditioning principles and how they apply to rehab. Like I said before, I did one on setting and achieving goals. We did one. Eddie Revuelta talked about how to bill appropriately. So there's just all sorts of different stuff that can be discussed on there, and some of the big players, some of the really smart people, some of the people leading our company are doing those things, and it just gives you an opportunity to connect with the people leading our company. So those are cool, and there's discussion with those, right? It's not just, hey, I talk at you kind of thing. There's usually a presentation, and then there's a discussion, and people entertain questions, and just connect with the people leading our company. So it's pretty cool.
I love that. And I noticed something amazing. You said, I don't know if anyone else heard it, but something I love that you mentioned was you have your mentor in your clinic. And from the talent acquisition side, I can say that very clearly and confidently. when a candidate is brought in to work for any clinic, we try to put them in the clinic where they will have somebody that could be their mentor, somebody that they connect with on a level where they're comfortable having one-on-one conversations. And then the piece that Ben talked about, which is super additive, is you still have access to having a mentor outside of your clinic. So if there's a speciality that you're wanting to get into, like pelvic floor, and maybe you have a mentor in clinic that's your clinic director, but they don't specialize in pelvic floor, you still have a mentor that's there for you in a scheduled, structured time frame to help you kind of talk through scenarios on that front. So you have in-person mentorship, and you have, communication that's structured into your schedule, but not necessarily just tied down to clinic or geography. You have the freedom to get it externally, which, with a company as big as ours, where you have companies and clinics all over the place, it does help to know that you can connect with various different personalities and various different specialists and learn. So I thought that was a great piece. I love hearing things about that, Ben, because I think it's super additive for any PT anywhere. And I also heard you mention that there was criteria for the mentors and the mentees. So how do we go a mentor? Like, let's pretend I just graduated and I've been graduated for about a year and I want a mentor. What does that look like? What do I have to do to be a mentor?
So, in order to be a mentor, you have to have a minimum of 3 years of clinical practice, or you have to have gone through the mentorship program and graduated and come out the other side. So either of those things would make you eligible. And I think one of the cool things about the mentorship kind of database is we allow the mentors to just write a little bit of a kind of a message to their mentees and say, hey, this is kind of what I'm about. This is kind of what mentoring, with me would be like. And so it kind of gives you the opportunity to get a little bit of an idea of who the people are and who you want to work with.
I love that. And so in terms of students that have gone through the mentorship and are currently going through it, what type of feedback have you gotten from students that are getting the mentorship right now?
I think overall people are very happy to have support, and that's one of the biggest things that I think I've heard is I didn't really necessarily know that I had questions until I started dialoguing. I was talking to my mentor and maybe they were talking about something they were working on that week, or, I had a simple question that turned into a pretty big discussion that I never really would have kind of thought my way through unless I talked about it. And, I had my last mentor, or my last mentee, sorry, he said, I wasn't really interested in mentorship. I didn't think this was going to be something for me. But once we kind of started talking, I realized how much I could use something like this and how helpful this would be for me. And so, the first couple of sessions, we kind of just palled around a little bit. And then as we went through it, we really started kind of getting down to more of the stuff that maybe he was feeling and didn't want to talk about. And just simple things that maybe he was embarrassed to ask his clinical director because it would make him look like he didn't know what he was doing or something like that. And he could talk to me about that stuff, and I could talk to him about the stuff that was happening, with me, and letting him know, hey, this is kind of, the struggles that I'm having, and this is kind of how, I'm thinking about working through this, and you guys working through any of this stuff in your region. And so I think it was great for both of us, me as a mentor and he as a mentee, and it was interesting. And I think, one of the things that I'm hearing most is I didn't know how helpful this would be until I really started doing it. And now I understand the component of it, and I feel like I could probably do this for someone else too.
And I love that, just because it kind of speaks to the core values of therapy partners as a whole. We're investing in you, so you invest in yourself in the future. The biggest thing that I think I learned from all of this, and as we talk every time about mentorship, is the importance of having, the PTs of tomorrow, the PTAs of tomorrow, the OTs of tomorrow, the SLPs of tomorrow understand the value of the profession and how much importance there is to understanding how to continually serve that professional inside, and to give back to this profession. I know you mentioned that. I've heard it from our president. I've heard it from our CEO. I've heard it from various different leaders, just like you mentioned in the lunch and learns, the importance of understanding that we are the future. You know, we are that. We need to make sure that this profession is what we want it to be by
Hmm.
creating leaders for tomorrow. And the goal is eventually to have all these mentored, you know, PTs be the mentorees in the future and give back to this profession. Um, so I love that. And every time you talk about it, I see your passion for it. So I
Yeah,
appreciate
it's I think it's an easy concept to get behind because in general, people that have purpose and people that are passionate about things tend to do better, right? It's
that.
like being positive and being happy kind of feeds into success, which then feeds into you being happy and successful. And I live in a very, very affluent part of California, and it's interesting to see how many people that have so much a lot of times are not happy, you know, and it's interesting when you look at it from that perspective. And you know, being a physical therapist, being a clinician, when you look at like rankings of job happiness and stuff like that, typically a lot of times they're up high, and it's not hard to know why in general because we have purpose. You know, you wake up every day and you know, hey, I'm going to go help people, and that's pretty cool. And I think the component of that that gets better is if you get better at helping people, then you're going to get better at helping people. And when you feel supported, when you feel connected, when you feel like you have a purpose, when you work for a company that you know is pretty specific about why we're doing what we do, and we focus on quality and we focus on growth, I think those things are big. We invest in our people. We want them to be successful. It's another reason why we do this program, and why this program, you know, that I kind of just proposed, you know, one day kind of just gathered steam and really started going because there was support for stuff like this, and the company wants to, you know, help people to get better, as opposed to just saying, hey, you know what, come on in, we're going to pay you X, and then you're going to, you know, be the clinical director on the first day, and here's 20 patients or 30 patients, and you know, good luck, see you later. And for some people, you know, maybe that's okay, you know, and that's what they want to do. But I, you know, from my personal experience, just getting up and going to work because you get paid really isn't the best way to go about things, and it's really not the best way to, you know, develop longevity and avoid burnout and all the stuff that we talk about. When you have a purpose, when you act with purpose, and you kind of fulfill some of those things, you end up feeling fulfilled. And mentoring is I think is one of those things for me that makes me feel good. It makes me feel passionate because I know I'm doing something that's helping to further my profession. It's something that's helping my community, which is something I really care about. It's something that's you know, helping another person to just do better and feel better. And you know, I always talk about this. One day I'm gonna die, you know, and when I die, what I want is I want to be able to say, hey, I did something. And maybe it's not, you know, I got my name on a building or something. I don't care about that. I want to be able to look back and say, you know what, I made a difference for someone. You know, I made someone feel different. I made someone feel good. That person may not remember what I told them. They may not remember the exercise I showed them. They may not remember the specific, you know, strategy for working with people, you know, that I talked to them about, but they'll remember how I made them feel. And I think, you know, that feeds into, you know, one of my goals, which is one day I want to be able to look back at my career and say, you know, I changed something. You know, I added to you know, this. I created, you know, and worked with other people on making mentorship something that is in the forefront of what we do.
I love
And
that.
and it's not just a piece of something, but it is the thing. You know, helping our clinicians to get better, specifically putting them in positions to be successful. That's something that's not just an additive, but it's like a really, really important part, and it's a focus of what we do to create better outcomes for our employees, to create better outcomes for our patients and our communities.
And I love that you said this in a way, Ben, that's very relatable. You already know, as a director of talent, I talk to PTs that have worked for every other company at times. And they tell me all the time, you know, I got the salary, you know, and now what? You know, I've got this salary and I've created my lifestyle at this level, but my skill set is stagnant. Like this is where I'm at, and that's the end. Um, which honestly is heartbreaking because the purpose of physical therapy is to continue to grow. You want to add and learn. That'd be like a doctor telling you, okay, I learned everything there was to learn. You know, I'm
Yeah.
a medical doctor and now I'm done. I don't want to learn anymore. I just want to make money and I just want to, clear coughs and be done with my day. Um,
Yeah.
there's this ongoing need and there's a passion for physical therapists where deep down inside they want to continue to grow and they want to learn and they are physically invested and emotionally invested in their patients.
Hmm.
And to hear you speak on it, it makes it makes me happy, it makes me smile wider because that's what gives me purpose in my profession, right? And when I'm bringing a clinician into our clinics, one of the first things I'll always ask them is, what is your motivation? Like, what is the thing that makes you get up in the morning and say, this is the profession for me, this is what I want to accomplish? What gives you true happiness? Because let's pretend it's the salary. Okay, you get that. Then what? What comes next? Because the salary is only going to make you happy for so long. And this isn't me saying don't take a salary. Everyone should get paid for work. This is saying feed the PT inside yourself. And so I love that you mentioned, where you're at. You're in the Bay Area, which we all know is super affluent. But, the work life balance, the ability to make a positive environment, to foster change. And one thing you touched on, you get fulfillment for mentoring, but has there ever been circumstances where you've learned stuff from a mentee that, changed your perspective as a clinician?
It's a good question. You
Thank you.
know,
That one I don't think you
it's
thought about.
it's something that happens all the time, right? Because we've built such a big intern group. We're probably gonna break 40 interns just this year with our region, and I see so many of them come through our clinic because we have a pretty big clinic too, right? We've got 10 clinicians,
Yep.
and so I get to interact with a lot of interns, and I do all kind of the onboarding, and I work with our regional director and some of our clinical faculty that run the OPTM mentorship, and it's really interesting to kind of just talk to people, and that's one of the things that we do is we spend some time with our newer practitioners and our interns, and we just sit down and we just kind of rap and we just talk about about things in life and
Yeah.
philosophies and purposes and reasons and things like that. And it's always been interesting for me to learn about motivating factors and learn about what makes people tick, and I remember, so one of my first student interns that I ever took, I remember this guy because I had just done some new education, and I was really excited about practicing in this way. And
Yeah.
it was kind of an advanced set of principles and techniques, and I was kind of pushing this stuff, and I was working on it really hard, and I was trying to help him kind of get it and understand. And he sat back one time and was like, "You know what, Ben? I don't want to be you." And I was like, and I was like, I get it. I was like, first I was a little offended.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? I get this. I understand this. And that's, what that was probably like, I don't know, 8 years ago or something now. And I remember that moment because it helped me to remember and understand that if the world was filled with me's, it would be a terrible world, you know? And I don't want that to be that way. I like who I am and I think I'm great, but I don't want everyone to be just like me. I want different people. And I want, when I look at my mentees, and when I look at my interns, and when I look at the newer clinicians in my clinic, and even the veteran clinicians, I always tell them, I don't want you to be me. I want you to be the best you. And I want to help facilitate that. And so I may have opinions and I may have suggestions, but I'm never going to tell you what to do. You got to figure that out for yourself. And I think that moment with that intern was huge because I felt like I created enough of a trusting environment for him to be able to kind of speak honestly with me. And maybe my ego took a little bit of a hit, which is probably a good thing, but it helped me to kind of just take a step back and understand, hey, people are individuals, they learn differently, and you got to kind of remember that and focus on that. And creating a team is about having different people come together and kind of strive for one purpose, but people bring different things to the table. People have different size plates, people work at different speeds, people learn differently, people express things differently. And I've had patients that I work with for a little bit, and maybe for whatever reason they work with another clinician, and they're like, "Hey, I really like Todd a lot," and I'm like, "Good, go work with Todd. If you guys have created this connection and the two of you are going to work really well together, I'm happy for it. My goal is to get you better." And so I think that was a lesson that I kind of learned as a mentor working with a mentee that I think was maybe a little kind of hard at first, but it's impacted me obviously, and it made a big difference in the way that I look at mentorship and guidance and teaching and that kind of thing going forward.
I love that. I love that you mentioned in there was finding the right, I guess, the right wasn't exactly like you. The fact that they were able to tell you, for one, that it's a safe environment for them to
Yeah.
communicate with judgment without fear. And then on top of it, you help support them, helping them navigate their surroundings in a way that find somebody that maybe on a personal level they connected with a little bit more, but
Hmm.
they still learned valuable information. And I say that as a person. I love that Rahul mentioned the energy uh, that we have, which is great because that's literally my life. I have this energy all the time. But if somebody had this exact energy all the time, I don't know how I would be able to take that. Like if somebody, I don't know who would crash first. So that's a valuable lesson in life to learn. And I love that you learned it in a situation where you're the teacher, but you're
Hmm.
student. So, I think that's a great, great piece of mentorship. And that's another value, right? Another core value for us, continuing to learn, continuing to grow. The clinician is continuing to learn through every mentorship relationship you have, through every intern you take on. Um, I get that feedback all the time on my end with you and the program. So fantastic. Um, Another question that actually just popped in my mind when you were kind of was with the mentorship, have you ever had a situation where a candidate or a student might have, taken on a mentor or been a mentee with a mentor and they didn't click at all and you had to step in, make a change or make an adjustment for them?
It's not common, but every once in a while something like that'll happen. Maybe for whatever reason, the relationship just isn't a good fit, and it has happened before. It's the fix is simple, right? No one is offended by anything like that. It's just like, hey, you know what, this isn't going to work out perfectly for us for whatever reason. We'll find someone else, and we've got a big database of people that are willing to mentor, and so it's not a problem finding someone who can do something maybe a little different. I have, for example, I had someone where they kind of said, hey, I really like my mentor, but I feel like they're too similar to me.
I
And
didn't
and
even think.
so yeah, and she was like, I think like we think very similarly, and I want something that's going to be different because I think it can challenge me more. And I was like, hey, that's a valid feeling and thought. We'll take a look at the list. We'll work it with you and find someone who's going to maybe come from a different direction or a different perspective. So that was one that somebody I was working with recently, and we made that work, no problem.
I love that. And just another piece of that is the fact that you just made me think differently, right? In the sense that
Mm,
I never thought from that perspective. I would always think I'd learn well from somebody who taught in a way that I learn, but
mm,
that could be seen as a hindrance for somebody that says, I want to learn in a different way. Because if I'm always thinking in a straight line, how am I ever going to learn to look at it abstractly? And
right.
that's something that, wow, that's kind of just changed my perspective a little bit. So you just mentored me. Other than that, Ben, I know that this has been existing for a while, and I know how hard you worked on this program. Just in a nutshell, is there anything that you think, on first glance, somebody might not know about our mentorship program that makes it different than anything else that you've seen or had, access to beforehand? Anything
Yeah,
that
it's
comes?
It's a good question. The first thing is it exists.
Yeah,
I don't know
true.
personally that there is another program out there like this. I know from personal experience that mentorship tends to be something that's a kind of a hot topic, and it's like a buzzword a little bit. And it's, when I'm looking at my interns, when I'm looking at my newer clinicians, and I'm looking at candidates to hire for positions, it's something that most people are looking for and want, because I think it's becoming more mainstream in terms of people understanding that having a mentor is really important. And the thing that gets kind of bandied about is, oh, we have a mentorship program. And if I was interviewing for a position as a newer clinician, I would say, show it to me. Because a lot of times the way that mentorship program is, it's just like, oh yeah, come on, we'll mentor you, this and that. And then, with maybe all the good intentions in the world, it just doesn't happen because people are too busy. And then you get up, end up with a bunch of patients, and then maybe someone at the clinic leaves, and so now you got to take on more responsibility. And so it just doesn't occur. Or they have a mentorship on the fly kind of thing, where they say, yeah, I'll mentor you, and you're going to stand there and watch what I do and learn that way. And I don't really believe that that's mentorship. I think that that's just shadowing, which can be great. You can see and learn things in that way, but it's kind of one sided. There isn't really a lot of specific, back and forth. There isn't any sort of planning involved. It's kind of just like, we'll see what patients are on the schedule today, and we'll just kind of figure out what happens. And I don't really think that that's the best way to do it. So I think the fact that we have some specific structure to our program, the fact that we have recorded modules that are covering things that are clinical and things that are non-clinical, the fact that we have specific relationships, one-on-one reserved time during your schedule, the fact that we have these lunch with leaders sessions where we're connecting with leaders in our company. I don't think that exists anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I think the big thing is, if you were to ask me, hey, what does this look like? Pow, I could pop a piece of paper in front of your face and say, this is what you're gonna get. And if you come work here at OPTM, we actually have a 12-month mentorship program that we make available to anyone who's interested. We have a syllabus. We go through simple things like case studies, especially as you're kind of starting and onboarding. But we also kind of start to teach some of the stuff that we have available in our clinic through our faculty, people that have specific training, and our mentors, and have worked as veteran clinicians for a long time. Things like manual therapy, things like different systems. So there's a couple of us in the clinic that are fellows of applied functional science, so we do that. We do some PRI. We've got a pelvic floor therapist that does pelvic health. We've got some specific stuff on return to sports metrics. How do you deal with specific types of athletes? We have people who have some of this expertise, and so that stuff is specific. It's written down. It's standardized, and it's available to anyone who wants to work with us. So there's that component. I think is probably the biggest, is that it exists, that it's structured, that it's very available, as opposed to just kind of like, well,
We
it's a
have,
concept. We
yeah.
have it. What does it
I
look like, and what is it
love,
specifically? That would be, as a newer clinician, that would be the questions that I would be asking.
and I love that you've asked that, because there's two parts to my thoughts on what you've just shared. Number one, I've seen it multiple times with a lot of PT companies will say we have mentorship. You're absolutely correct. There's nothing written down. There's nothing that's built into your schedule. So anyone listening that's going to school right now, or you've just graduated and you're looking at offers where people are saying, yeah, we offer mentorship, 100% what Ben said is accurate. Ask to physically see it. Have them email it to you. Because if a company is very, very passionate about mentoring you, there's nothing to hide. Because realistically, the goal is to make sure you're thriving in an environment. So I'm with you 100% on that. I've seen that myself. And the second piece you touched on, I've seen the mentorship program that you've created at OPTM. And for anyone who's listening and watching this right now, when I tell you it literally looks like a syllabus from university, it literally looks like a syllabus from university. I was looking at it and I felt like I was back getting my master's with a teacher asking me to sign a commitment at the end of it. But that that type of structure, that type of clarity of the program, I think that's what sets it apart as well.
Yeah.
Just somebody who's not clinical, and for anyone who's listening that doesn't know yet, I'm the director of talent for all of the brand partners, not just OPTM or Golden Bear Physical Therapy. I represent every single brand. And the structure of this mentorship program, in terms of what I've seen, what my team has, discussed with PTs that we're hiring, it is like nothing I've ever seen before. And that's a big kudos to Ben and the rest of the education team. I know Jen Allen is on here, and it's her education team that's running all of this. It's legitimately the best thing that I've seen in the PT world. And I feel like it's a game changer in the sense of it's teaching PT, anyone who works for a brand that has this program that we have, any brand that you choose to work for, you will leave a better PT than when you entered the company. Just because that's the investment. That's what our goal is, to make you better. And I love that I'm able to say that with, one of our greatest mentors on this call with me. Ben, I love that you also would mention that the program exists. How often do we add and change material for our program?
It's continuous. So we're kind of always in content creation mode.
Yes.
So there's all the topics that we've kind of covered in the past are all recorded and available. And as we go and as we grow, we're always kind of looking for new content. We're looking for new things for us to kind of go over and talk about. It's one of the great things about adding partners is they bring more expertise to the table. And so it's been great to be able to connect with people and bring their expertise as well. So we're constantly in content creation mode in terms of creating new modules and in terms of scheduling lunch with leaders. So we're always trying to do that, and we're always adding new mentors as well as new mentees. So people that bring maybe different levels of expertise to the table and stuff like that too. I think one of the comments that you made that I wanted to hit on was the idea of investment, because I understand why it's hard for clinics and companies to create mentorship, and it's because one, it's expensive, because it's not free to take time out to do this stuff, right? In a lot of ways, time is money. And so when you're in the clinic and you're working as a clinician, you not seeing patients is a financial drain on the clinic. And I think one of the important steps that we've taken is to make that investment, to spend the time and resources to build this program, and from there then kind of investing continuously into our clinicians. Because it's so easy and it's so simple to just say, hey, this is too expensive, we're not going to do this. And though it was expensive, and though it continues to cost money to do this stuff that we offer for free to our clinicians, it's important for us to invest in our clinicians. It's important for us. It's more important for us than money, to make sure that people feel supported, to make sure that people have the resources to achieve outcomes and learn and train and all that kind of stuff. And so I think that concept of investment is important. And I get it. I absolutely get it from clinics that say we have mentorship, but they really kind of don't, because it's not easy to create a program like this. It's not easy to put the time and energy and the financial resources into making something like this go. And so while I get it and I understand it, sometimes I don't agree with the misrepresentation of it, in some ways. But I think one of the things that makes our company unique is it's not a side project. It's not a thing that just by the way, we care about you. It's more of like, hey, here's tangible proof that we are willing to invest financial resources into helping you become a better clinician and into supporting you and working on your growth and creating a pathway to leadership and making sure that you meet your professional and personal goals. So I think that's a really important component of this. And I think that's, I wanted to make sure that we hit on that.
And you just hit on something that's super crucial, I think, where you said the importance is the investment piece. You already know, because you know me now very well, that investment is the biggest piece that I believe in terms of I want everyone to come into our clinic and leave that go anywhere else. I want, everyone that learned at OP go somewhere else. I want that best PT new clinic ever got. Because they were trained well and they're, an amazing clinic. And that's the most important piece for us as an organization is we want you to thrive. We want you to grow. We want you to remain stagnant. And we will work with you to figure out what it is you want to accomplish, because there will be that clinician that wants to take the clinical route, like how you have. You're a clinic director and you're also running mentorship, and education is your passion, and the company saw that in you and invest in making sure that your dreams are realized and you're passing that information forward. And I think that that's important, but there are also clinicians that just want to treat, they want to just be a clinic director. Maybe they want to go the operational route where they want to run a region or run multiple regions. That's okay too. And we want you to accomplish those goals as well. So I think that I love that you mentioned that our mentorship is also directed to help you kind of start creating what that path is going to look like for you. What do you want your career to be? And don't just be a passive participant in it, be active.
Yeah.
Take it and help you get where you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before, right? In a lot of this stuff, we line it up and we make it easy, but you get out what you put in, and that's just with anything, right? If you're a motivated, passionate person, those are the people that we're looking for, right? I feel like the idea and concept is that we're looking to help guide and inspire people who already are motivated. It's not my passion in life to motivate unmotivated people. You know what I mean? I think the idea is with this kind of program, we're looking to attract people who want this type of program. And so I think that's a really important idea to think about as well, is a program like this helps to attract like-minded people. And so when you look at something like this, you're hoping that your team is going to be really good too, because it not only are they probably the right person, but they're also getting mentorship and they're also getting training, they're also getting supported, and maybe they are mentors for people elsewhere in the country, and maybe they're learning things and bringing those things back to your clinic. And I think that's, they always say, iron sharpens iron and stuff like that. And so I think the fact that we have this program and the fact that we're attracting the right type of people, the fact that we're using something like this to kind of filter the people in that we want makes a big difference, because that allows us all to kind of swim in the right direction. And when you have everyone who kind of has the same idea in mind in terms of what makes us successful, and everyone's kind of working toward that same goal, then clinic culture is better. People want to come to work. You have people that are kind of similar mindset, and so it tends to create I guess what I would say is kind of an idea of cohesiveness. Even though people are very different, a lot of them have the same motivations, and a lot of people that we attract and the people that we connect with this program are motivated. Our goal is to guide and inspire and to help them to achieve the things that they already want to achieve.
And I love that, things that we apply. The fact that it's about collaboration, because you touched on this in so many ways, Ben, the fact that our goal is to find people that are like-minded, that want to grow and continue. They're never satisfied just staying in one spot. They want to grow. They want to achieve more. They want to be more. They want to do something and leave something behind. This is exactly what that is, right? This is the opportunity to really understand and get every tool available to you. And you touch this as well. It's free, guys. This is like of no cost to any PT, any PTA, anyone that wants to take this program, our OTs, our SLPs. This is a no cost opportunity for you where you get billable time, where no one is putting time on your schedule to see a patient, where you have one-on-one time to talk to somebody and get mentored. That, to me, as a director of talent acquisition, is game changing, because I've seen it's true. We're companies where you're seeing 18 patients a day,
Yeah.
because the goal is to make that clinic money. And when I'm telling you that this is across all levels, all brands, take that time to invest in yourself, your learning, your ability to thrive in the profession. That's a game changer that doesn't exist anywhere else. If there's anyone who can tell me that exists anywhere else, I definitely want to see the program, because I have not yet seen it. And the fact that it's, something that our leadership team thinks is very important is something that motivates me every day, and it makes me feel good about the organization we work for. I know our CEO, Brent, is very passionate about education. Jen Allen, one of our founders of Body Central, and she's an executive on the education team. There's not a day that goes by where she's not talking about bringing more continuing education courses, and building out the mentorship even further. So, and I see her on here liking and clapping because we're speaking on, everything that she stands for, and Body Central itself stands for, OPTM stands for. These are, amazing opportunities. Pro Sport in Southern California, is a big education component as well. They recently joined us. So there's a lot of growth opportunity. There's a lot of value add for mentorship. And the fact that me and you are doing this mentorship live, off the clock from our houses, just tells you how passionate we are also about the mentorship and the opportunity, because it is important. And, and it's something that we really do believe is something that we need to push more and bring more awareness to, because you touched on this as well. We don't just want people to use the term mentorship without backing it up, because we take our mentorship very seriously. And we want to make sure that we're holding other companies accountable. If they're going to use it and say it, show it and give it, and make good practitioners great PTs. I love that you said that. So other than that, I think you kind of answered every single question I had. I know we have a lot of people still on here with us. While you and I are chatting, does anyone have any questions for Ben regarding mentorship? Maybe any questions about the company, anything that, just even if it's a random thought that's popped in your mind after kind of hearing us chatting on, mentorship and the importance of it, we're more than happy to answer those questions. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep on asking Ben my questions, because I'm always interested to learn more.
Kiran, before you ask me any more difficult questions, goodness, now, I wanted to kind of touch on something you were talking about, and there is, I think, and again, this is my opinion, but I believe that we have a responsibility as a profession to create quality outcomes and create quality connections and create quality experience. And the numbers show, I think it's something like 4% or 4.5% or something like that of people who have a diagnosis that can be under the realm of arthropathy, meaning joint problems, that go to see a primary care physician, get sent to physical therapy. 4.5%, and arthropathy, like, that's our game. 100% of those people should be sent to us. And it's such a small percentage of people that were actually coming to us. And of those people, something like national average is like 13% of patients actually finish their plan of care, which blows my mind. And when I think about that, my question is, why is it that way? And are physicians not sending us patients because they don't trust us or don't believe that we can do what we should be doing, or they've had experiences in the past that have led to outcomes that were not optimal, and because of that they felt burned and don't want to send us patients? And is the reason that we're not putting a quality product out there, a quality service out there, the reason that only 13% of people are finishing their plans of care, that's crazy. And so one of the things that I think is it's really important to fulfill that responsibility by creating quality care. And some of that comes down to what we're doing and talking about right now. This mentorship program is making sure that we're fulfilling our side of this bargain, that we're creating with our communities and with our referring physicians and with the medical community as a whole, and saying we are going to do the best job that we possibly can. And that comes down to us, taking that next step and us being leaders. It's why I encourage all of my clinicians in my region to become clinical instructors, because I think that's a responsibility. I think that's something that we sign up for when we join this profession, and it's a commitment to ourselves, and it's a commitment to others, and I think it's something that we need to do better.
And I love that you kind of mentioned that, because I still remember when I started at the company, I was doing my visit to go and visit a bunch of the different clinical sites. And I actually went with our president, which is Bobby Ismail, for those of you that know of the brand Golden Bear Physical Therapy. And I'll never forget when he took me out to visit clinics. He knew every technician. He knew every PCC front desk person. He knew everyone in the clinic. And I will never forget, I was looking at him and I just thought, a leader that knows everybody and a leader that understands the value from the front desk to the tech to the PT in the clinic is a game changer. When we went through, I asked Bobby, I said, what was it that turned into, what made you want PT? And he had a story of when he played football, he had an injury and he needed PT, and it changed his life. And so that mentality clicked for me, where you kind of just were talking about that people need to reconnect to why they wanted to go in this profession. Nobody went to PT school because they thought they'd become a millionaire being a physical therapist. No one thought that. No one thought $1 to retire when I'm a PT. That just never happened. The dream is, which I would believe for a physical therapist, is to add value, to give back to the community, and to make a great living. And I'm not saying PTs don't make money. They make good money. To make good money and, live a life where you're satisfied professionally, emotionally, spiritually, if that's what you need, and servicing the community. And that's kind of just something that you said that I feel like is the common thread across all brands. I've heard it from, Body Central's Jen Allen. I've heard it from, Joe from Pro Sport. I've heard it from Steve, from Sport and Spine in there.
Yep.
I've therapy partners. I've heard it from every brand, and I think that's a common thread. And then here's a great question we just got from somebody. How do they find an open position in one of the brands that provides this mentorship leadership? Great question. I'll start and then Ben can take it. One of the first things is my talent acquisition team. One of the recruiters has a very in-depth conversation with any physical therapist, occupational therapist, speech language pathologist, or PTA or CODA that wants to work with us and might have a need to work with us. And the first conversation is, what is it that you're looking for? What is important to you? What gives you value? What is it that you're wanting to accomplish right now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Once those things are kind of ironed out and hammered out, we discuss amongst ourselves, the talent team, because there's various regions, where this person is going to get their most value. What is it that they need to do well, and where are they going to go? And then immediately, once we find a spot for that person in a partnership, we reach out to Ben and his team, and we'll say, hey, Ben, this is a new PT that's just starting with us. They want mentorship. What do they need to do? And then Ben, take it from there. What do you do?
Easy. I personally connect with that person and find a mentor for them and connect them, and away they go.
I love that.
Easy.
Easy peasy, squeezy. And I love you're hearing a lot of it. The fact that, it's true. We do offer mentorship in pelvic health, journal clubs, formal residency programs, new grad mentorship, pairing with, mentors. There's lots of opportunities on that front. Other things that we're doing right now on our early hire program right now, something very important on that end is we thoroughly discuss the mentorship piece. We actually really discuss that piece in terms of helping every new grad who's getting ready to graduate in April, that are getting ready to take their boards in July, and they're hoping to start working in August. The importance of finding the mentor now, sign that offer letter, get in there, go shadow your mentor right now, go figure out what they want to do. Because that's the importance, right? Finding the right personalities to fit them. We got another question here. What kind of residency programs do we offer? That's a great one. Ben, you want to take that one, or you want me to hop on it?
So I'm not super well versed on the residency side of things. So Kiran, why don't you kind of elaborate on what you know?
I will share. So we have various residencies. We do pelvic floor, women's health, sports residencies. We have vestibular rehab residencies. We are working on aquatic therapy as well. There's quite a few residencies, and Jen Allen is she's our executive that runs education, and under her we have Melissa Buss, who herself is a pelvic floor women's health specialist, and she's running residencies at a Body Central for that. There's quite a few, and right now I'm getting comments even from Jen. Orthopelvic sports are our biggest, and if you're looking for an opportunity to do really well in those, specifically if I was talking to somebody that wanted pelvic floor, I would talk about brand partners like Body Central. OPTM has pelvic floor program in the Bay Area. I know that we have the program in the Pacific Northwest. We have the program in Central California with Golden Bear Physical Therapy. We're formally accredited for our ortho, sports, and pelvic health. So it's an accredited program. It's a great opportunity. We're working on our, like you're saying, Jen, yep, we are working on neuro residencies right now. I know that's a huge one that I get a lot of students interested in learning about. And others, you let us know what you want and we'll work on it with you. One of the differs from our residency is you are not only working with a resident, you get a lot of one-on-ones in the sense that your resident will go ahead and discuss outcomes with you. They'll talk to you about things that you can do in terms of patient care population, right? So if you have a patient and you're struggling, your resident there in real time is working with you through case studies. It's built into your schedule to have time, to talk to your resident. Very similar to our mentorship in the sense that the goal is to make you the best clinician you can possibly be. Whereas once you're in your residency, that's the most unique. So that kind of went into the residency side of things. I know we had a couple of questions on those. And the mentorship piece is huge too. So if you're a new grad who's not looking for residency, the mentorship is a great opportunity for you to learn. Whereas, if you're wanting residencies, that's a big piece that we do focus on. And right there, you can even see that Jen's talking about it as well. 15 months, it's 150 hours of one-on-one. And like she's saying right there too, multiple board specialists are going to be mentoring you. So you're not just tied to one resident mentor, you have a couple. So that's another big piece of the residency side, the mentorship side. Those are two huge pluses that make our programs at our company just that much more, beneficial for anyone that's interested in learning more. Ben, do you have any other thoughts that you want to share with me this fine evening?
Can you put a link or something into this live that allows people to see what we have available, or give them some sort of information or way to contact you or anyone regarding open positions, regarding working with us as a team?
I absolutely love that idea. So I am right here. I can see Jen is also writing, and she is super passionate about the residencies, the mentorship, anything education. So if you have any questions about residency, feel free to reach out to Jen Allen right there. And then if you're interested in learning about new grad mentorship, any of the openings that we currently have in the company, all states that we're in, that's California, Washington, Oregon, Nevada, Utah, Texas, Arizona. Oh my gosh, if I missed that, Jen, all that talking, you would have been so mad at me. Feel free to just shoot me an email. I will make sure that I reach out, or I make sure that one of my recruiters reaches out to you as soon as possible to get you set up with a conversation with, a clinical director. The mentorship piece, I can get you in contact with Ben. Um, you got to talk to me if you want to get to Ben first, but I can make sure you get a chance to talk to Ben, and ask any other questions you might have. If anyone has anything else that they want to share with us, the floor is open for any questions anyone might have. Um, Ben, you have anything else that you want to share before we let them all loose for the rest of this evening?
No, I just, honestly, I appreciate the opportunity. I'm honored to be able to spend time talking to you, Kiran, and anybody, who kind of joined on this call. And I'm obviously passionate about this kind of stuff. I have convictions. I believe, a lot of things, and I believe that when you believe something, you connect with other people that believe that thing. I'm really a believer in the idea that people don't buy what you do; they buy why you do it. And I think that's a central component to what we're talking about here today is the why component of what's behind all this. And it's not just, oh, well, we need to, look at our bottom line and we need to do this and that. It's more of looking at the component of we care about the people that we're connecting with, whether they're patients, whether they're employees, and our efforts are going toward making the experience better on all sides. And I consider us an employee first type of company, and this I think is tangible proof of that conviction. And so I'm just super happy. I'm honored to be on here. I'm really excited to kind of see where we go, and as we add more partners, and as we add more content, and as we add more mentors and mentees, I think the sky's the limit with this kind of program.
And I appreciate that, Ben. And you already know I'm as passionate as you are, so I love hearing what you're building, what you're doing, and just on behalf of the profession, the company as a whole, I think there is no, it's like priceless. There's no value that I could, monetary value I could put to what you've built out and what you guys are doing every day for these students and these new grads. It's just a testament to, true conviction, I think. And, just really caring. I think that's another piece. I think people get lost in the hustle bustle and they
It's easy
forget
to
that.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. And the big thing is just remembering that it's people first. And if you look at every clinician as a person that's going to service 100 to 200, 300 people, uh, in a course of maybe a couple weeks, that's just tangible to know that the value add for teaching them and investing in them is everything that you could possibly give and need. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you taking the time to hop on this. As you can see, it got dark outside hiding from my family. But yeah, other than that, I think I appreciate you hopping on with me. And now I've been found. My hiding spot is now compromised. But I appreciate you coming on. And if you guys need any other information, shoot me an email. I'm happy to chat on anything else and getting you in contact with Ben if you have any other questions. No, don't do that.
All right, Kira,
Thanks,
thanks so
guys.
much.
Have a great day, guys.
Bye.